Welcome to the Car Guys and welcome to my GR Yaris. That's right, today is an update day. We're going to let you know what's been going on. We're going to run you through some more interesting stuff, give you a bit more of an in-depth review. I want to take you through the driving modes again. I want to give it some beanage. It's freezing cold out here, it's warm in there. Let's go. Welcome to my GR Yaris. I've had this car for a while now. I thought I'd update you guys on what it's like to own and run one of these things for a long time. When you get in and start using the Yaris for the first time, so it's absolutely cold, you come out your house, you think, I'm gonna go for a bit of a blast up the road, blow the cobwebs away, get those winter blues gone. The problem with that is that this car takes quite a long time to warm up. Now, things like oil temperature gauges seem to be a thing of the past on most cars. Unless you're in a high-end supercar, it's not a gauge that tends to appear very often. Now, Toyota have done a very clever thing with this. So there's a warning on the center of the dashboard that says, avoid excessive acceleration due to temperature. And that automatically goes away once the car is warm enough and it thinks that you can use full power. All you really want to do when you first get a brand new car is get it nice and warm and give it some beanage. You're not interested in reading the manual. Nobody reads the manual. You're not interested in working your way around the car and figuring out all the little nuances and all the little bits and pieces. That's something that comes with driving it regularly and figuring out that some stuff really gets on your nerves and you need to get rid of it and turn that stuff off. And for me, one of those things is the lane assist. If you're going down a road and there's white lines on either side and you do not indicate to cross those white lines, it will try and tug at the steering wheel and it will beep at you, and sometimes the steering wheel will vibrate as well. And that's incredibly annoying, especially as most of the driving I do in this car is on narrow B roads, and there's lots of cyclists on these narrow B roads. So I don't always indicate to move over because there may not be anything around me. So what's the point? It's like, do you hear a tree fall in a forest if no one's there? What's the point of indicating your intention if there's no one there to see it? You're wasting bulbs and it's going to cost you money. You have to turn that off, and there's a way of doing that. You have to hold your finger on the button on the right hand side, and that will then turn off the lane assist stuff. But that then becomes a starting procedure, because every time you get in the car, the lane assist automatically defaults. This is like Damian's rant about how he hates the whole stop start thing, which incidentally I've failed to find the stop start switch. So here we go, we've got a straight bit of road, we've got temperature in the car, we've got second gear. I think it might be time for some beanage. What do you reckon? 20 miles an hour, let's go. Turbo lag. Oh, I'll tell you what, crikey. This car is properly quick. It's the big thump of torque. Now we're in normal mode at the moment, so front wheel bias. Wait for the cyclists, not upset anybody. Around the outside. That turbo comes in, you've got all of this torque. I mean, it's so fast. Adrenaline's pumping. Poke it into this corner. The front end on this car is absolutely outstanding. And we're not even in any of the sport modes at the moment, we're just in normal. You can feel the front end just starting to lose grip there. So it will push on into understeer. But my goodness, it's good. These tyres, I think, are kind of most of the reason why it's so fantastic. But what we're going to do now is we are going to put it into sport mode, which gives us a little bit of rear end, as you know, changes the torque split on the car. No more cyclists, not upset them. The roads are quite damp, so I'm going to leave traction control on for now. Oh yeah, oh yes, get on that, oh, get on that power. Oh, Oh my goodness, that's good, isn't it? That's really good. I wish you were here to experience how good this car is, because it is absolutely astonishingly good. I mean, it's a proper B-road monster, and the fact that a bit of understeer and then into oversteer, brake down, hazard warning lights coming on because we're braking hard into the corners, put it in, sliding around, out the other side. Wow, this car is so good. Now, I haven't got the IMT on, I am heeling towing, but then I especially wore quite wide trainers, and I always wear them to drive this because there is quite a distance between the brake and the accelerator, and it can get a little bit difficult to heel and tow if you're wearing particularly thin trainers, but these ones are actually got quite a wide sole on them, so that's the way you fix that problem. Let's put the IMT button on because I don't really use it that often, but it is there, so you might as well, right? The company's free. There we go. Right, okay, coming down. So that was the button doing it, that was the car doing that change down. Oh yeah, that's so good. That is so good. Right, braking heavily. Yeah, it's not bad actually. Oh, a bit light over that crest. I guess the thing is, it actually becomes quite a physical thing to do to drive this car quickly when you're really on it. The grip levels are astonishingly good. Let's talk about the ownership prospect of a GR Yaris and its nuances or little things that you'd probably want to do if you had one. The selector down here that puts it into normal, sport or track mode is connected to the traction control system. And what I mean by that is that we're in normal mode at the moment. If I push the traction control button off, it just says track off. That's all it says. If I hold the button, it turns everything off. So collision pre-brake is off, traction control is properly off. There's a big picture of a skiddy car. VSC turned off, whatever that is. That's if you push the button, so you have to push and hold it in normal mode for everything to go off. However, if I put it in sport mode, I only have to push the button once. I just push the button, everything gets turned off straight away. And on the dashboard, it now says expert in kind of orangey letters. This is clearly a lie. I'm nowhere near an expert. I never professed to be. Turning traction control off on cars like this scares me because I'm a big girl's blouse. If you're in track mode and you want to turn traction control off, again, you just push the button. Don't have to hold it, you just push it, traction control's gone. There's no launch control. Or at least if there is, I can't find one. So launch control is all down to you. Now, I can imagine that the four-wheel drive system in this car is incredibly expensive to replace, and as such, I will not be attempting a full-bore launch by sidestepping the clutch, because that sounds like it could be very expensive. Full traction off now, we're in sport mode, so we should be able to get a little bit of the old slidey poos there. Nice. So much grip though. So now we've got everything lit up. We've got the IMT on, we've got expert mode on, we've got sport mode, we've got redness, turbo dials. It's a full smorgasbord of visual excitement. However, I don't really want to look at that. I want to look where I'm going, which brings me on nicely to one of the downsides of this car, and that is visibility. Unless you're looking out of the side windows, which incidentally are fantastic, there really isn't a lot of visibility. You can't see much out of the back. The wing mirrors are okay-ish, but Then you can see the sticky out rear arches, which I don't like, and I will get onto those in a minute. This part of the windscreen is obviously great, but anything over there is just completely overtaken by the screen and the rear view mirror. And because I'm talking to you guys as well, so the camera's in the way, so my left hand side, I don't even know what's going on over there. The transmission can be a bit shunty, which actually I love, because it makes it feel more mechanical, makes it feel like it's actually there doing something. It's not like, you don't feel like there's great big massive bits of cast iron slamming together, but you can definitely feel a clunk as it goes into gear, especially in sport mode. You can feel the diffs kind of feel like they're clunking. They're probably not, maybe it's just my perception, I don't know. The more it loosens up, the better it's kind of becoming, the more personality it's developing. It definitely feels more alive when the traction's off. You feel a little bit more in control, if you like, or at least in control of your own fate. What is still quite astonishing is the fact that it grips so well. So on faster corners you can really stick it in and rely on that lateral grip. Right down to second gear, put it in, drive it out on the throttle, because we're in sport mode, right? So it's acting very much like a rear-wheel drive car. It is so much fun, this car. You need to all go out and buy one immediately. So let's talk about the styling of this car. I'm not a massive fan, and to be honest, I don't think I'm a massive fan of any of the Toyota styling, and I think that's part of my problem. This car is cobbled together out of two different models. It's had lots of stuff done to it, but it just doesn't feel complete. It feels a bit of a bitzer. I don't like these rear arches. I don't like the way that they stick out. I'm not a big fan. I would have thought by now it would have grown on me, but honestly it really hasn't, and I'm a little bit disappointed that I don't love it as much as I should do. I'm going to stick with it though. I think that over a period of time it will get better, and let's be honest, I spend most of my time inside the car, not outside looking at it, and to be fair, on a day like today where it's absolutely freezing, I think I'm going to get in the car and we can go. At slow speeds this car can be quite crashy, but once you get it moving and get that suspension up and working, it's very supple. I mean, obviously you have to avoid the major potholes, of which there are many around here, but mostly it's absolutely fantastic, and that obviously helps with the grip as well, helps with the lateral load. When you're into a fast corner, this thing sticks, and one of the reasons for that is the suspension is so bloody good. Okay, that's enough of sport mode. I'm bored of sport mode now. It clearly won't unstick itself. Let's have a bit of track mode nonsense. Whoop whoop. It's a bit addictive, this, to be honest. Probably shouldn't do it quite so much. It has got a very addictive power delivery, this car. It's because you get a whoosh of the turbo as it picks up. That's why I've always loved turbocharged cars. You get your foot in, you can keep your foot in exactly the same position, and then the turbo just goes woof and you're off and you're off again. And that big slug of torque. Is it the fastest car I've ever driven? No, of course not. But I tell you what, it's up there with one of the funnest cars I've ever driven. And you do feel like you can properly hoon it around, and that the horsepower that you've got is completely deployable. There's at no point do I think I've got way more horsepower than I need and I'm about to massively murder myself. Because it just doesn't feel like that. The chassis is so good, the tyres are amazing, it's got enough. I think it's got enough. See, foot down on a completely dry bit of tarmac with no traction control on. Honestly, you're just not losing grip. How do I feel about the whole piped engine noise? Well, actually, do you know what? I still don't mind it. I think it's all right. I quite like the idea that I get to hear it and no one else does, even if it is fake. Would I think about buying a titanium exhaust to fit to it? No. This is about my enjoyment, nobody else's. Thanks for watching The Car Guys. I really hope you appreciated this episode on my new GR Yaris that's getting a bit older now. Don't forget to subscribe, ding the notification bell for when we have another episode uploaded. Find us on Instagram, Facebook and our website, and there'll be another Car Guys episode along next week.